and I would be the ones who would be fending for ourselves, and we already know how important the police are.
Yes, we do.
So that might not accomplish what you hope it would.
I know, but it's so disgusting. I feel so sorry for these officers.
And what about gun laws? Do you think the answer is making tougher ones or enacting the ones that we have? Or how are we going to get these guns off the streets and out of the hands of the bad guys?
Well, it seems like no matter what you do, you can't get them off of these bad guys. I mean, it seems as though they get them one way or another. Maybe if they made them tougher and locked them up for carrying guns, maybe that would help.
All right, you can hear the frustration in Alice's voice.
Oh,
Steve,
I'm just disgusted. It's a shame. He's only 30 years old.
I know. Well, Steve Rogers has been on the force about the amount of time that this young officer was alive, and you hear how frustrated Alice is. Imagine, Steve, how frustrated you are.
Well, Alice just talked about the police walking off. Police would never walk off the job, but we need people to walk to the voting booth, to walk to their state legislatures, to get laws passed that will take criminals off the streets, not guns, criminals. And that's what we have to focus on. We have to put things in perspective. Look, I'm all for reasonable laws that will restrict certain sale of guns. However, the problem here are criminals. They're the ones that have to be taken off the streets.
But the issue, I mean, and I agree with you, but the thing is criminals aren't born, they're made. What we need to do is get to the root problem here. In addition to addressing criminals, in addition to having criminal enforcement, in addition to having gun laws, we need to start at the root of this problem. The root of this problem, again, is lack of education, it's lack of jobs, and it's lack of resources. We need to deal with all of these things.
With all due respect, I'm on this job 32 years. In the 1980s, the 1970s, the 1990s, there were individuals on this program and others that said the same thing you're saying now. We have to get back to something called accountability and personal responsibility. I agree with you to some degree, but let's stop making excuses for people who kill police officers.
Let me be clear. I'm not making an excuse for people who hurt police officers. I said very clearly this person should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Part of individual responsibility, though, is not just being reactionary about one shooting, but to go out and shut down these, This, sir, is let me finish this point. To shut down these gun stores, to go and demand tougher laws from our Congress people. We have to do something about this. Community people can change this. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. This is an awful tragedy, but I'm saying we can stop it at the root, not just in a reactionary mode.
This is not a reaction to just one shooting. This is a reaction to an assault on our society.
I'm agreeing with you.
On the peace and security on domestic security. This is an assault.
We need
to take greater and stronger measures against the problem, which is criminal.
One of the problems is government lobbyists. When you have a lobby who lobbies the legislature into enacting laws that'll keep these guns on the street, to keep these manufacturers in business, we keep producing these guns. We won't produce them if nobody's going to buy them.
All right, on that note, we're going to give you an opportunity to tell us what you think about these points. If you'd like to call in, the lines are open. Alice, thank you very much for your call. We'll return to the lines in just a second, but I want to check back in with our It's Your Call contributor, Kevin Walsh, who, as I said, is live tonight from Temple University Hospital, where he's been talking to people who are there or who were there earlier this afternoon, and I'm anxious to know what their reaction to today's crime is, Kevin.
Lynn, just a couple of minutes ago, a very good friend of Officer Richard Bowes just walked out from outside of the emergency room and got in his car and took off, but not before he came over and we had a little conversation. I asked him about Officer Bowes. He said Officer Bowes is talking. It looks like he's probably not going to have surgery. He had family around him. He said his friend is very, very tired. But this officer was shaken up because he has one friend in the hospital, another comrade, Officer Patrick McDonald, who was killed, and the last Philadelphia police officer who was killed in the line of duty earlier this month, Isabel Rosario. He was also friends with her. So it's been a difficult time. And I asked him, is it getting harder and harder to become a police officer? Are you scared when you go out on the street? And he said, you can't think that way. If you start getting scared as a cop, it's time to get out of the business. But for the rest of the folks that live in this area not far away from Temple Hospital, they are scared. And here's what some of them had to say to us earlier.
It's bad that it happens that way sometime. I mean, it's life. You're in Philadelphia. It's all over the world is going like this. So it's not nobody can really say or do.
I live here. That could have been anybody got shot. One of the kids, anybody. And we outside every day out here. I'm sorry the officer got hurt, man. On the brother. Man, I don't know what to say, baby. It's rough out here. You know, that's it.
Something else that I learned from the officer that came out just a short time ago, he said the suspect, 27-year-old Daniel Giddings, who was shot dead about a mile away from where I'm standing right now, he said he was a parolee carrying a weapon, and that seems to square with what we know, that an automatic weapon was recovered not far away from the scene, about a block away from where Officer McDonald was gunned down. So we're getting pieces of information by the minute, Lynn, and I'll keep you up to date throughout the night.
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin. And you heard the frustration here in the studio as well about gun laws. And now we're hearing that this person was a parolee who had possession of the guns. And whether or not there's anything that can be done could be a debate on this show for the next, 20 years.
But there's so much that could be done, and it's a layup. It's so easy.
If you want to see more of this episode of It's Your Call, you can with Comcast On Demand. Using your Comcast cable, go to Channel 1, get local, CN8, and then choose It's Your Call, CN8. On air, online, and on demand.